Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. Before I jump into this video, there are three things that I want to say. First and foremost, the Florida Gators lost last night to USF, which makes me absolutely happy as a Florida State Seminole. So thank you, USF Bulls. Number two, for those of you who are new to the channel, this is the Angry Man Podcast, AON Sports Media, where we're always dropping boxing related content. So make sure you become a subscriber. We do it all here: fight breakdowns, documentaries, commentary. There's no other platform on YouTube that does what we do that also covers boxing. So make sure you become a part of the team. And for those of you who are regular patrons of the channel, make sure you smash the like button or the dislike button if you don't like the content, but make sure that you are engaging with the content. Now, this is a very, very, very interesting topic here. And I plan to play a couple of clips from Roy Jones later in this video that's going to substantiate what I'm saying in the first portion of this video. There has been a significant shift in terms of the perception of this fight, the commentary associated with this fight as it relates to talking heads in boxing. And I'm talking about the talking heads like Roy Jones Jr., like Antonio Tarver, like Tim Bradley. If you go back and you find interviews from these gentlemen about a year or so ago, they talked as though it was a foregone conclusion that Terence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez. They talked about it similarly with Errol Spence. Now, I'll give them credit. They said that, and it held true. And they said it all the way up to the lead up of the fight. But if you pay attention to the last, let's call it 3 to 4 months, you'll see a significant shift in their commentary. And it's interesting because for me, I never truly understood exactly why so many individuals that are talking heads in the sport of boxing acted as though it is a foregone conclusion that Terence Crawford is going to win this fight. Now, don't get me wrong. Terence Crawford is a great fighter, and he has a lot of tools in that tool belt. And I get why people are going to use skills pays the bills as the rationale for why Terence Crawford is going to win this fight. However, that doesn't always necessarily mean that the fighter's going to win. Now, for me, personally, I do believe Terence Crawford has a chance to win this fight. I give it 60-40 in favor of Canelo Alvarez because Terence Crawford does have a lot of skills. I think Terence Crawford, to a certain extent, is different. But just because you have all those tools and you have more tools than another fighter doesn't mean you're going to win that fight, because sometimes that other fighter has a tool that you can't deal with. And I think that is the case with Canelo Alvarez. I think there's 1 to 2 tools that Canelo Alvarez has that Terence Crawford simply will not be able to deal with, and or the circumstances relative to the fight will make such that Terence Crawford won't be able to deal with what Canelo will bring in the ring. Now, again, these guys have been bold, and I mean incredibly bold in their prediction. Tim Bradley actually talked as though, it was Crawford was going to absolutely dog walk Canelo. This was probably about a year or so ago when he was talking in this manner, and he recently broke down the fight and his stance changed significantly. I would say Tarver's stance has changed dramatically, but I'm going to focus on Roy Jones because Roy Jones has been adamant about Terence Crawford because I think he sees a lot of himself in Terence Crawford. And I want to react to what he said as well, because what he said to me personally, it contradicts as well. Not only is he changing stances a little bit, but he's also contradicting. So let me play the first clip here from Roy. This is the first time I saw Roy start to change his stance on how this fight could potentially play out. Here's what Roy had to say.
Could be victorious. If he doesn't fight the one way that he can only fight to win it, Terence Crawford has 6 ways he can win it. And my money will go on the man who has 6 ways to win it over the man who has 1 way of winning it.
Okay, Terence Crawford has 6 ways to win it, and you're telling me that Canelo has to fight a very specific fight, and that is absolutely the only way he can win it. So now let me play this second clip here from Roy Jones as he's now talking about this fight. This is from 1 day ago.
Man, I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings, and emotionally, I'm very happy that the fight is happening because it's a great fight for both fighters. Initially, I thought maybe Canelo didn't have the hunger to go out there and really try to keep Bud off him or try to go at Bud, Um, when I heard he had Jerron Ennis in camp, it made me realize that he really is trying to prepare for Bud, because Jerron Ennis is probably the only other person that can really logically and realistically fight left-handed or right-handed, which is what he's going to see from Bud. Mm-hmm. That lets me know that Canelo is taking it serious. If Canelo's taking it serious, it's going to be a much harder fight for Bud than I anticipated. I still think Bud has the skill to beat anybody on any night, but so does Canelo. So this makes it a much more intriguing fight for me.
Here's what I'm not. So you can see just within that time period from a few months ago to that particular video yesterday, he has shifted his stance. And I mean, from about a year ago, it's even shifted more. What I don't understand, so you're telling me that the only thing that's required for Canelo to be competitive in this fight and or win this fight is for Canelo to have hunger? How does that make sense to me? Because at the end of the day, you just told me that Terence Crawford has 6 ways to win. He has 6 freaking ways to win, and you're telling me that all Canelo has to do is be a little bit hungry, and now he can win the fight? I don't understand that, because you just said that Canelo Alvarez has to fight the perfect fight, not be hungry. Let me tell you what is happening now. Reality is starting to set in. And you're starting to think about a guy that is comfortably sitting at 168. And he says this in the video. I just didn't play that clip because I didn't want to play that much of it. But what you're hearing is that he knows that a guy has a substantial advantage being at 168 pounds. Another guy that's moving up. And what he was betting on was that Canelo Alvarez was faded. Because that's what a lot of people are making their bets on. A lot of people's bets are on Canelo being faded. It's not about Terence Crawford's skill. They can tell you all they want. Oh, it's about Crawford's skill. It's how skillful he is. No, it's not. It's not about how skillful he is. It's about them believing that Canelo Alvarez is a faded version that Terence Crawford can take advantage of. And when he heard that he had Jerron Ennis in camp and that maybe this isn't something that, he's truly taken seriously, which means he's going to come into the ring actually very prepared for whatever Terence Crawford is going to bring to the ring. I think personally, it's like his mind has started to get corrected. You heard that with Tim Bradley as well. Tim Bradley was talking like, oh man, Canelo is a slow feed and da-da-da-da. Even Bomac was talking in a way that was reckless about Canelo. But as the fight gets closer, you start to hear this shift. You didn't hear that with Spence. Everybody was talking with the same tone with Spence, but you're seeing the difference now because the fight is here and they realize what exactly it is. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast on Sports Media, and I am out.